So, how you guys doing? Maybe my third or fourth video now, but uh, I had a good conversation this morning. Always having good conversations, man. If you can't have a good conversation with someone, man, I don't know. I feel like you're for nothing. But um, I was talking to my coworker. He asked me about the Russian situation, and he's a science mind, like very, very smart, intellectual guy. But he has a science mind, and I'm thinking, like, I was a little shocked because I'm like, yo, I never even heard you even like really, really talk about politics. So it was actually really cool, like talking to someone that has a science mind and just sound like, this dude is just like, so informative about politics. Had an informed opinion about the Russian situation, and he asked me about it, and this is what I told him. I told him that before you sanction any nation, you gotta think about what do they fear. I'm gonna say it again. Before you sanction any nation, you gotta think about what do they fear. And I think from the Obama administration, I feel like there's enough evidence to believe you. Well, I feel like there's enough evidence that suggests that Russia, they didn't fear sanctions under Obama. And I feel like that should have been enough to let you know that there needs to be another step. There has to be another step, because now we're still sanctioning them, and there's a lot of there's people that's gonna talk about, oh, sanctions might not work, or sanction does work. I'm not here to talk today about whether sanctions work or sanctions don't work, because economically I already know how much sanctions could hurt a people and hurt a country. However, I think the more you sanction this nation, it means nothing, because they don't fear sanctions. So why are you still sanction this nation when that's not something they fear? You got to hit them with something that they fear. You got to find out what they fear. And we have yet to do so. And I think that when we do so, I think we'll put ourselves in a position where we'll be in a lot better a situation than we are now. Then I told him that what the United States should have done is get that Security Council together, talk to France, talk to Germany. I'm not even saying you got to go the Security Council way. You just have to figure out what is going to generate the most fear. Whether that's a joint military strike with Germany, France, Great Britain. I don't know if China would be on board, but hey, you got to call them too, because it's not like we don't have a relationship with that country. So it comes a point in time where my only question is, why haven't we done it yet? Like, why haven't we not got on the phone with France and Germany and Great Britain and China and said, like, yo, let's do a joint military strike? I think that just allows me to believe, man, you got people that's scared of Putin. You gotta be scared of that man, you because if you're gonna sit here and tell me you're gonna keep thinking that sanctions are going to work against this country, you gotta be playing me, and you gotta be playing this whole world. And then my coworker, he was telling me that United Nations talked about what Russia was doing, because they were doing some things in the UK that were human rights violations. And I told him, like, the same coworker was holding a conversation. I told my coworker, like, the United Nations, all talk. That's the best way to put it. That's the cleanest I could put it. All talk has not have a history where, they don't have a good history. Let me say good history. I can't say they don't have a history. They don't have a good history of showing you that they could create, you know, any forces or military forces where we could check certain countries, or we could get the Security Council to do and uphold certain human rights standards that needs to be upheld. The United Nations, they can't even get the United States to respect all walks of life. The United Nations can't even get North Korea to respect their own citizens. So, my thing with the United Nations is, they have, in their history, they haven't done enough. But my only problem is, why haven't we spoken to the countries in the Security Council, and why haven't we went and go got him? Like, you had JFK who was not afraid. I don't care how many times he tried to do it. I don't care how many times he failed. He was not afraid of Castro. And I know he failed twice. But you got to understand that you got leaders right now that's afraid. You got leaders that are punks. You can't tell me leaders are not afraid if you keep sanctioning this country and think that they care about sanctions. You gotta go get him. You're afraid. And when you're afraid, you let me know, and you let people know that we ain't as great as we used to be. We not. Because we always had, and even if we haven't taken out leaders in office who we could honestly sit down here and say they were not of good, I think it comes a time where you have to ask yourself, why haven't we went and done a joint military strike? Why? Why can't we do it? Why can't we figure that out? Why do we gotta keep throwing sanctions at a country when they still have not been held responsible for their crime? They committed a crime against this country. And I was telling my coworker that the United States would not respect any other country that didn't hold another country accountable for meddling in their elections. I'm gonna say that again. The United States would not respect any country who allowed another country to meddle in their election. Even if it was determined this candidate rose to power or got into government because of the meddling in the election, or if he didn't, no country respects any country who is not going to hold another country responsible for being involved into hacking into their security system during an election. And not just to any country, to one of the greatest countries in the world. So I just think you got a period of time where you got punks, running the country. And when you got punks running the country, they're not going to go get another world leader who they're fearful of. How could they? How could they? How could they? It's too hard. It's going to be impossible because you're a punk. You don't have it in your heart to rise to the occasion and not be a coward for this time. This time calls for you to do a military strike, and you won't do it. And, I know some people are going to call me out, say I'm a violent man. You're talking about killing someone who has a family or taking someone out of power, but you got to understand, what good has this man done? What good? Like it could only get worse. So my only problem with this country is that they wouldn't respect another country who they allowed to meddle in the elections and didn't hold that country responsible, they wouldn't respect it. And that's just is what it is. But